First, I like to say this isn't about the church itself or about the church's theology or doctrines. I'm not really interested in talking about specific doctrines, although I have issues with the particular church that I attended and was baptized into. I don't think that my problems are unique or were unique. I was born into a Black Seventh day Adventist nuclear family that was part of a much larger Black Christian family, which makes me the only atheist in my entire family. My family was very involved in the church. My grandmother, with whom I stayed every weekend and took me to church, was a deaconess and Adventist Book Center representative for the church. My mom and dad were both master guides, and my dad was the director of our church's Pathfinder Club. I went to Seventh day Adventist school until I got out of 10th grade because I didn't want to go to academy and decided to go to public school to finish high school. Good move. I had an awesome time in high school. The SDA education was pretty good, more advanced than the public school system. I had access to modern technology, and there was a lot of emphasis on health education, diet, exercise, and explorations into medical technology and innovations. But I was staunchly against becoming vegetarian to this very day. There's no way I'm becoming vegetarian. I started to doubt when I was in 6th grade and was doing a bunch of research into Norse, Greek, and Roman mythology. I came to the conclusion that what we now call mythologies at one time, a whole lot of people actually believed in as religions, much like the religion we believe in now. So these folks thought that their gods were as real as we think our God, that I eventually figured out was Yahweh and started researching like a maniac, is. I reasoned that either those gods still exist and no one believes them, or all gods are made up bullshit. I hadn't quite accepted that all gods bullshit at that stage yet, but the idea had been piqued in my mind. I wound up doing a lot more research into the Semitic areas and cultures, researching the Babylonian mythologies, Zoroastrianism, the Jewish captivity, and it finally fell into place for me. I was taught to worship a Semitic storm god, turned Canaanite war god, turned Hebrew creation god, mixed with a whole lot of other influences from other cultures, Greece, Egypt, etc., into what is essentially a death cult. And I started to observe the actual people that I went to church with. And when they were outside of the church, they acted like everyone else who wasn't a Seventh day Adventist. They were nothing special. They sounded the same as everyone else. They appeared to eat the same as everyone else. I even observed some folks drinking alcohol. I was shocked. And there was no divine punishment. Yeah, I know. I was young and naive. So I went through a very long process of dissociating my identity from religion in general as a Seventh day Adventist, as a Christian, and as a Black American. Christianity is very closely identified with the Black American experience due to American slavery. And this is where I point out that when God had the opportunity to condemn slavery, it didn't. It said to be a better slave and set out rules for a Jewish person to be a better master to their slaves. Also, it didn't rule out child slavery, child marriage, child physical, or child SA. Given that I had a really good education, I embraced debate, logic, rhetoric, critical thought. I began to analyze the things that I was taught to believe, why I was likely taught them, and weighed whether to keep or discard them based on their rational merit alone. Again, a long process, but one that ultimately led me to a place where I no longer have to care about how someone feels about my lack of belief. And I no longer have to debate disingenuous believers who throw out fallacy after fallacy, straw man after straw man, and call it a rational, logical argument, when everything out of their mouths is based on the emotion of protecting what they believe rather than presenting rational argument or empirical evidence or being receptive to the same. I accepted that there was no evidence in favor of the supernatural, and there likely never will be. So there's no point in me putting any energy or thought into that direction. I no longer actually care. I'm apathetic. I do not believe that the supernatural is a real thing. Ergo, I'm an atheist. As a result, I just classify myself as an apathetic atheist or an apatheist. I don't believe the supernatural exists, nor do I care. The universe operates as if it doesn't. So I also don't have to care about the feelings that support the ideas of the supernatural. I've had something on the order of 30 plus years to get used to it, adapt to new discoveries in physics, astrophysics, and quantum physics. Both of my parents, while black Adventists, are both scientists with advanced degrees. I once asked my mom if she would deny all of her education for her faith, and she said yes. I still love my mom, and we're still very close. We just disagree on this thing. So, until em- empirical, falsifiable evidence for the supernatural in general, gods as a species, and Yahweh specifically, comes into being, I'm just going to call bullshit. Make myself a pizza with some pepperoni, pour myself a glass of rum, light myself a cigar, and do my best to not be a hypocrite. When the Jehovah's Witnesses come to my door, I invite them in, pour them some tea, and talk to them about the things that they believe and ask for evidence. Like most people of faith, they have no idea what the word evidence even means. And with my family, I just don't bring up religion. If I'm at some event and someone asks me to pray or something, I just say, I can't. It'd be blasphemous for me to do so. And and the responsibility passes to someone else. I'm good with that. Leaving religion made me a better parent. I listened to my children and adapted to their needs instead of dictating dogma to them and expecting them to conform. Leaving religion made me a better human. I no longer look down on someone for not having the same understanding that I do. But I still detest willful ignorance and intellectual dishonesty, which I often encounter when engaging with believers, so I no longer challenge their beliefs. I got to experience a lot of fun things within the church, but none of those things were exclusive to the church. The hypocrisy, though, that was unique. Voltaire said it is difficult to free fools from the chains that they revere, and I completely agree with that. Someone that I've been friends with for a long time said something that stuck with me for the rest of my life. If everything you believe about life comes from one book, you've entirely missed the point of learning how to read. I recognize that I'm a minority atheist within a minority Black American. There are other Black American atheists, but we are sorrowfully few and far between. And even fewer of us are willing to risk being open about it for fear of being ostracized. I don't have that fear. I never did, and I never will. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But you don't have to listen to me. I'm just a guy named Ed. Peace out.